Remember that they are changing my voice. If you don't resent the types of people doing this, then you're not paying attention. Okay, there's the occult crowd, corporate, right, kind of crest wearing rich people, nerds, the rich, there's the rich LGBT community, what have you. Now let's quickly look at the timeline of events here. First, let's look at the Kaiser video, right? If you go to the playlist, the link's in the description here, it says that on the 8th that I made several videos about the Kaiser shooting. That's where I used to work. I used to work at Kaiser Hospital in San Jose off of Santa Teresa. Okay, by the cross streets of Santa Teresa and Cottle. Then on the 9th I made a video about Judges 5:23 that says people are cursed for not standing with me, for not obeying God through me, and Judges 5:23 made it clear that I was right. Then on 6/9 there was the Livonia mass shooting. There was a mass shooting, a quadruple homicide, or there was, I think it was 3 or 4 people killed, and that was 6/9/26. That was on the 9th. Now why is this significant? Well, I said that these shootings were connected to me, and I pointed to the Kaiser videos before this stuff came out in the news on the 9th. And then the Livonia, because I used to live in California, right? And I've made many videos in California, and that's on record. It's undeniable. Now, Livonia, Michigan is like 15 minutes away from where I live right now, which is in Southfield, Michigan by Detroit. Now, on the 10th, it came out in the news that there's some kind of event in Chicago where a cross was burned. Okay, so again, on the 8th I made the 2 videos about Kaiser. There was a shooting there, and it's where I used to work. The 9th, the video about how people are cursed for not standing with me. The 10th, there was a cross burning in Chicago. Now, what's important to note here is that the suspect in the Livonia mass shooting looks nearly identical, or very similar rather, to one of the suspects in the planned terrorist attack at the UFC event in the White House. So I said these things center around me. They center around me. Okay, I said that in the Kaiser videos, and I have lots of other videos before that has shown that. I didn't just come out of left field and say, hey, take my word for it. I had made many videos in the past that show things connect a certain way. I have other playlists about videos that point to me in a way that's undeniable. And especially when you look at that pattern there, it's open and shut. And this is very much connected to those 2 Bay Area students who died in Santa Cruz. Right? Santa Cruz is a play on words for Satan, see ruse. Satan, see rise. It's a story for another day. Let's just stick to the timeline here for now. So on the 10th, I made another video about the Livonia shooting, and I highlighted that it was in the same city, same small town, where a person was terrorizing their neighbors wearing a hazmat suit. And that very much connects to the fact that I'm targeted. So he was lashing out his neighbors for some reason, targeting some of his neighbors, and it's similar to me being targeted, because there's the targeting aspect. And hazmat is a play on words for hazmate. Now, the hazmat suit is like a chemical suit, right? So back then on the, I guess it's the 10th, my notes make it look like it might have been the 13th. It's either 10th or 3rd. I think it's the 10th. There's the hazmat incident, right? Now, the next video I made on the list was the Michigan quadruple homicide. So it was a quadruple homicide suspect in court. So he's in court and he makes a symbol with his hands. It's like the Baphomet symbol. Okay. Next video after that was 3 police officers shot in Philadelphia. There's other connections there, but I want to keep this brief here. The next video was on the 16th, and that was the video about the 2 Bay Area students who were killed in Santa Cruz, and I make another video about it. Okay. And so the 10th video on the playlist is a video that the news made, and it's about the events that were happening in San Jose, right? The 2 people who were murdered in the domestic violence incidents, 2 women that were murdered. So there's 2 women that are murdered within 4 days in San Jose. Kind of what for, right? 4 days. And you have the 2 females who died on the beach because they were said to fall asleep in the keyhole between Panther Beach and Yellow Beach. And the word beach is a play on words for bee hawk. Okay. Now, the 11th video on the playlist I made today, right, which is the 18th, and it shows Osiris and Narmer, and the 12th video is I show the UFC match. Okay, and on this video, you should see on the screen, the person there is, one person there is the Livonia mass shooting suspect, and the other one is one of the people who plotted the terrorist attack at the UFC match at the White House. So when you see how these things connect, it's pretty straightforward that I'm right. Some of the other videos in the past is a little more vague, it's kind of wordplay related. People, might take it with a grain of salt, but it's clear that I'm right nonetheless. But when you look at this, it's very clear that I'm right here. Very clear. I mean, what are the odds that I emphasize that this stuff centers around me, and then there's a white person looking like he's in a white prison gang or some kind of hate group or militia. There's a certain way about him, right? He's in a satanic group almost certainly, and he throws the satanic hand sign, right? And he does his shooting the next day, 15 minutes away. That's the next major event in the news kind of thing in America, major mass shooting at least, and that's 15 minutes away from where I am right now, where I'm seated right now, okay, and where I've been for the last 6 months. Also, the people, I forgot that part, the people in a lot of the victim's last name and the suspect's last name was Pierce, because he did it in his own house. It's Pierce, and I make a lot of my videos, most of my videos I make it in Michigan, were at a park on Pierce in Southfield. Okay, it's on their last name is the same name as the name of the park. Okay, now I urge you all, send these videos to all the law enforcement agencies you know. They might say it's circumstantial, that's all BS. You should make a big fuss, but first you should make sure your network's sound, because you make a big fuss by yourself, they'll single you out. Okay, but you have to ask yourself, do you want to keep having kids and keep playing stupid in a country that is playing dumb about these events here? Okay. It's also important to note that Christ is said to have been pierced for the iniquities of humanity on the cross. And there are various street names in Southfield that prove that I'm right here. Also, Cain killed Abel in a field. And southern Egypt was where most of the people of sub-Saharan Africa were really known to be in Egypt, right? So they're in both parts. But the southern part is where Horus's cult center was, and when the Greeks came, they also made a cult center for Horus there called Edfu. So you had Nekhen, aka Heracleopolis, and you had Edfu, which was the one the Greeks had made. Okay, so you have Southfield. That's more important than you might think here. If you've been paying attention to this video series, you'll see that Horus is a very central idea in the murder of these two Bay Area students, these two Indian females at the beach over there in Santa Cruz. You have one of them's name starts with Har, Harshita, right? Har is another word for horse. Haru, Har, what have you. It's a play on words for hero. And of course, Superman is said to be superimposed on Horus. He gets his power from the sun. He flies to the sky, what have you. And of course, with the underpants and the cape, the Romans wore that cape, and so it's like a mockery of God's son. The Romans were a bunch of trade route scum who mocked the idea of God, and eventually they decided to take on Christianity as a religion, and it's basically been a religion. The Abrahamic faiths, for a long time now, have operated as organized centers to set people up, to identify people. That's why Matthew 10:22 it says, "You'll be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved." Okay, and no one has ever argued that scripture is wrong, because the churches are also in on the Roman system. I mean, it's called the Roman Catholic Church, right? And the Protestants branched from there. If you look at the history of the Reformation, right, and the Counter-Reformation, you'll see that it's very suspicious, to say the least. The history of confessionalism, write this word down, confessionalism. That period by itself proves definitively that the churches historically were evil. And if you look at the churches that started in America, at what period did they start? Okay, you look at the history of the Klan. The Klan was made up entirely of white Protestant clans people, and they're wearing an outfit that's similar to this Catholic outfit with the hood and so on and so forth.